Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark, and we are delighted that we are with you, hopefully bringing you a little ray of sunshine on your Tuesday, and three other people there to brighten up your day. Alan Ruff, as ever, with gin and tonic in hand, although he's saying it's a soda water and lime. Believe that, you'll believe anything. And amazingly, quite a lot of people have been wondering about Hugh MacDonald, and we found out that Hugh doesn't have bad broadband, doesn't have bad Wi-Fi. It's just he doesn't have a clue how to connect it. So we now have the man in his house with the best broadband and Wi-Fi you could ever wish for if you were buying it from any company. And Darren Jackson's there as well. So there you have it. Hugh, we're delighted you're with us. How do you feel?
I'm delighted as well. Just waiting for the caterer to bring them an afternoon meal, Peter. But otherwise, all good.
Great to see you. And of course, the other good thing about it, Hugh, is just behind your left shoulder, I think, on the wall. Is it a picture of any great note? Is it a team? Is it a bit of memory? Because the one thing about everybody who comes onto our Facebook and YouTube Live, they want to know what's happening in your house.
Well, behind me is a picture of, it's quite a cliched and straightforward picture of the Manhattan skyline. But it's very important because I once had a fabulous holiday there with my two kids, and for one of the Christmases, they bought me it, and it's one of these pictures that you'll see in any kind of shop. It's nothing remarkable, but every time I look at it, I just think, oh yes, it reminds me of that fantastic holiday we have, so that's why it's up there.
That's good enough for me, Hugh. I'm happy with that. The reason I'm asking you is because it pales into insignificance when we realise, Roughie, another day, another print behind you. What is it you've got there, Roughie? What is behind you today?
Well, it looks as if it's this one. It says, actually tells you when the bar's opening, and it looks as if it's 5 o'clock tonight.
So, 5 o'clock, the bar opens. Right. We can't see it, Roughie, because of your
I'll move
big...
that. There you are.
There you are. The big Bawheed is out the road, and it says... It's 5 o'clock, the bar opens. Brilliant, Roughie. I'm happy with that. Whoever's doing your set direction is an absolute joy. So listen, lots to talk about, guys. Great to have you with us, Darren, as well. No point in asking you about what's behind you because, as ever, I think you are just Magnolia. It's as simple as that. Let's deal with the first issue. Yes, absolutely, Hugh. St Mirren have suddenly... announced, like many clubs, Darren, that they have furloughed the majority of their playing and non-playing staff. So again, I think over the next few days you'll start to see more and more people make these decisions.
Without doubt, Peter. When you see what's happening down south, Tottenham, Newcastle and Liverpool did it, but they've reversed their decision. Man United and Man City, the clubs who have a lot of money. Up in Scotland, the money's not as large, so I can understand teams doing it. And I've been at St Mirren. It'll be a tight budget. Obviously, no revenue coming in. And as I say, the so-called smaller clubs, you see the Rangers players, it's saying 50% deferred on their wages. We'll wait and see if Celtic are going to do it over the next little while, but I can see it happening, and they've got to take advantage of it because they're not cash rich, and they have to look after the club.
Yeah, and as ever, don't worry if you get silence, by the way. That's just basically a chance for Hugh to pick up and join in with me and chat. Just as Darren was mentioning at the crucial point there, Hugh, a very pertinent point. Suddenly we lost him. So fingers crossed we'll get him back. I think he's back with us, but you get the general point.
Darren's point is very straightforward. I mean, and it's what we've been seeing from day one in this crisis, even before the crisis. When the crisis was coming over the hill, we were saying this is going to affect badly on Scottish football clubs. It's going to make the future very, very difficult for every club. I just think that nobody is going to be immune from this. and there's a lot of this still to be played out in wider society and football.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that in mind, Roughie, I've got to mention to you about Rangers. Rangers have obviously, with their staff for the next 3 months, taking a deferral in wages. No surprise that there's a willingness to do it among all the staff at Rangers as well, because this is acting responsibly.
Yeah, it just shows the players, it shows the fans that the players are prepared to take a hit as well. I think we all know that the majority of them are very wealthy, but they're still coming into line with everybody else. And I think if everybody else, the other team's doing it, you've got to do it as well. You've got to be seen to be doing it, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to give a special mention to so many people joining us on our Facebook Live and YouTube as well. Big hi to Lee Shanley, Thomas McGee, Stuart Campbell, always there, and Alan Boyd. Great to have you on the show. Any good jokes to share? Listen, it's only a matter of time. Ian Jackson's come on, and basically Ian doesn't really have much to say other than a blatant just cry from his favourite team. So I don't think there's any point in us reading that out, Ian. Remember, it's majority, 99% of the people we have on here are all football fans who want to talk football. Andy Fitzpatrick, hope you're all doing well, along with your family. Lambert for Scottish midfielder and Moravchik for the foreign player. No bias on my part, says Andy Fitzpatrick. This, of course, is referring to the poll we've put out there for the 10 best midfielders that have played in Scotland since 2000, I think it is. We've put out 10 Scottish midfielders and 10 foreign midfielders. Darren Jackson, it was a big battle yesterday. Barry actually was struggling to try and avoid picking himself, but he did mention more than a few good Scottish midfielders from our list. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but we will get it to you. Since 2000, some good names.
Yeah, well, I actually just caught the end of Kenny McLean yesterday, Peter, so I didn't catch who the 10 were. But obviously, I heard Kenny picking Barry and saying there's only one winner there, which I can only imagine some of them are in there. And there's no doubt Barry's up there, but I would imagine the other ones have a wee claim as well.
Yeah, along the way, as far as Scottish midfielders are concerned, I think Scott Brown in there, the likes of Scott Brown, and I'm trying to even remember the list, but I'll get it to you and go back over the 10. I'd written it down. Anyway, Stuart Campbell says, what do you think of Rangers players and staff taking a cut in wages? Do you think Celtic and other big clubs will follow suit, Hugh MacDonald?
Yeah, I think so. I think talks are pretty well advanced at Celtic and at other clubs. I think it's just a matter of now of, drawing up precise plans, whether it's deferrals or wage cuts. I wouldn't be terribly sure of at the moment. There's plus points in both. If you have wage cuts, the tax is still being paid and still goes to NHS. If you have deferrals, the tax is paid in full at a rate. There's points in both. I think though that it will happen. I will say though that when it's Celtic and Rangers and people in Liverpool are and down south, deferrals and wage cuts can be accommodated. But I do have great sympathy for those that just blanket footballers in a hole and saying stop their wages, etc., etc. Because as we know, Peter, there'll be many footballers in Scotland that will not be making an awful lot of money. There'll be many players that are making 25,000 a year and less. So a 50% cut in their wages, or even a 30% cut in their wages, is very difficult without the top-up scheme. But I think I think in the higher levels it'll all be sorted pretty quickly in Scotland.
Yeah, I think that you make a valid point there, Hugh, in the fact that there are not multi-millionaires in all the divisions in Scotland. And listen, when you get a situation, and I just looked at it there, the FA chairman down south, Greg Clark, has announced that basically English football faces the danger of losing clubs and leagues. Now, Darren, when the FA chairman in England is saying that, there's more money down there than we have up here. If they're in danger of losing clubs and leagues, we've been saying it for weeks. we're in danger of losing some clubs that have a great history.
Without doubt, Peter, 100%. And I'll back you up there about players on the wages they're on up here. I mean, completely nothing like what they're on down south. But you see how the money will filter. They're hoping the money will filter down the leagues in England, but it's not enough to keep the smaller ones. When you look at the Premiership, yes, even Burnley came out and said if they go to August that they'll struggle. Now that's Burnley have probably been in the league, Peter, 5 years, 6 years.
Absolutely, and high up in the league as well.
Yes, and they're saying they're going to run out of money. So there's your problem right away. When a team in the Premiership says they're struggling, everyone's going to struggle, probably apart from, as we talk about, the top boys. But the Championship, there's a lot of money in the Championship, but then you go lower down and it's just, there's not a lot of money there.
How much did you earn? What was the best wage packet you ever had?
At Hearts.
How much?
4,000 a week.
Wow. Roughie, he caught me on the hop there, did I was waiting.
Let's move on to administration at Hearts.
Now, Peter,
why did that happen?
Peter, people say you would love to be playing. You'd love to be playing now for the money, and of course, you'd all love to be playing to be earning the money they are earning now. But I just say you play when you play, and yes, obviously people say now, God Almighty, that was an unbelievable wage. But when you look at the players now, and I always say Stanley Matthews would love to have earned what I earn. So you just play. You've got to play when you play and earn what you earn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you on that one. Hugh, he got me on the hop there. I don't know about you. Did he catch you in the hop?
Well, on two things, I was really surprised at Hearts. Because Darren, as we know, played with Celtic. I thought that might have been the biggest wage, and then and a Celtic that won a league as well. So I thought that would be the biggest wage. But and the 4,000 at Hearts, it just shows you. I mean, it's just the way Scottish football was once. Every other league, the top 5 leagues have exploded. But there won't be many players outside Celtic and Rangers at the moment who are on 4,000 a week.
No, absolutely. And by the way, I mean, I hope you don't find me impertinent asking that question. The reason I asked you, Dan, was because, well, I knew I could tell by your face you're raging. But the reason I asked you is because Roughie and I always have a standing joke that he was standing in the tunnel at Wembley, and he's got Kevin Keegan, Mick Shannon, Mick Mills, all these great England players. He's there. He's got Souness, Hartford, Dalglish, Hansen. And how much were you on, Roughie?
100 quid. 100
Peter,
quid,
and
it was 100 quid to play in the game, and it was £200 to wear whatever boots you were wearing, Puma or Adidas.
Wow.
No, but at that time, Adidas paid roughly £200 to wear Puma.
Yeah, absolutely. You really should do the after dinner, Darren. There's something there, and you really it's your timing.
If you get a chance, Darren. Watch Scotland versus Belgium over in Belgium. In the first half, I've got a pair of Adidas boots on. In the second half, I've got a pair of Puma boots on.
Peter, going on that, when I was at Newcastle and we were in the first division it was then, which is the Premiership now, and I played at them all, played at Anfield, played at Old Trafford, played at White Hart Lane, Highbury. I played 3 times at Highbury and never lost, and I was on £250 a week.
Wow, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, it's great. Listen, I'm glad you actually revealed that to us. It just gives us a wee insight into it. And for the benefit of some people who obviously just looked at you as a player that they love to hate, you know, you were a good player in your day. I don't need to blow smoke up your back end, because we did that on Monday for Barry after he scored in the 2002 Cup final that he watched non-stop over the weekend. Hugh, I'll talk to you about that in a minute. Charlie Sanderson says, "You're doing a great job, guys." This is from a bored Scotsman in Preston, which I find amazing, because I have to tell you, when Davy Moyes lived in Preston, we all used to go down there, and the nightclubs, Roughie, were fantastic in Preston. I loved it. It was mental. You would have loved it, Roughie.
No, never been to Preston on a night out. You know, I can't mark that down as a destination, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh, Roughie, the girls were coming up and asking us out. That's how great it was. You didn't even have to cross the dance floor and tap them on the shoulder. It was magnificent, Roughie. Anyway, for Charlie Sanderson, great to have you with us. Lots of people. Gordon Bruce, Charlie Irons has joined us as well. And Neil Fennick, good to have you with us too. Liam McGrandles has joined us. Liam, God, if I'd have known that, Liam, you could have given us a song. Simple as that. Listen, we always do a quiz. I'm a wee bit late with it. Here's the answer for yesterday's quiz, incidentally, was Euro 2000. I meant to give you it at the end of the programme. Coming up in this programme in the next half hour, do stay with us. Malky Mackay, the SFA Performance Director, he's talking Billy Gilmore, he's talking Steve Clark, he's talking about the technique and the skills that the kids nowadays are working on, and whether he feels confident we can make it to Euro 2021 as it will be. So don't miss Malky Mackay, well worth listening to. And of course, the other great thing about it is, don't miss the room that Malky's in. All I'm going to say to you, Hugh MacDonald, is Narnia.
Narnia. Oh, I love that.
So that's all I'm going to say to you, Hugh. You'll need to look out for that. And Justin Burt says, "I'm proud to be part of the 99% who come on this programme and obviously know what they're talking about, love their football, and don't post just blatant stupidity." A big hi to Andy Newport, who joins us. I don't know if you know Andy Newport. Do you know him, Hugh?
Absolutely. Andy Newport has held my hand through many a press conference. And
well, the reason I mentioned it,
told me who I was speaking to. In many a football matches, told me what the actual result was at the end. The Press Association football and rugby reporter is young Andrew.
Yes, and it's great to have him on board. And the reason I mention him, Darren, and you'll know this yourself, playing for the Scottish Football Writers, Andy is the type of guy that I could put 60 balls through to him. 59 of them he would put at the corner flag or into row Z, and he would put one in the back of the net eventually, and then he would brag about that the entire way home. That's the type of striker Andy Newport is, Darren. You've met them before, haven't you?
Why are you asking me that question about missing? Or bragging?
Yeah, exactly. Robert Galvin says, "It's a lovely day for sitting, chilling, watching the show. Say happy birthday to my son, Aaron. He's a big boy, Roughie, at 27 today, Roughie. Say happy birthday to Aaron for us, will you?"
Yeah, well done, Aaron. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm sure you'll get a wee birthday cake, hopefully, and just stay safe.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, just emotional there from Roughie as well. Just a little bit of, that was fantastic, Roughie. Suddenly, Roughie displays having a heart in this. Roughie, what were you doing at 27? Was that the peak of your life? Were you at your most dangerous then?
27. 27, I think I got my first full cap at 26. So, no, the games, Scotland games were coming fast and furious there. We used to play one every month. So, no, it was probably just... enjoying my football as we do at that age.
Absolutely brilliant, Roughie. As soon as you said that, I think I got my first. I really started to break out. I was breaking out in a sweat. I'm so glad you said cap. Listen, let's have the quiz for today. don't know about you, but that looks like as if it's an easy one. Every now and then we'll lose the odd person on the show, or they'll go into a darkened room, and I think that's the case for Hugh as he tries to get himself back with us. But we can live with that. That proves to you that it's live anyway. Good luck with the quiz. I'll give you the answer at the end. Look at Hugh. Honestly, there is a man working with his technology. Also, trying to go through. Hi, Alan Lawrence. Nipper Lawrence. Now, there was a player and a half, eh? Nipper, I actually loved watching Nipper play for Airdrie and Hearts. He gave his all. He was a great lad. So great to see that he's joined us. Richie Mullen, John McKenzie as well. All of them joining us.
I started my career, Nipper and I, we played up front together at Meadowbank.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is he the same age as you?
No, Nipper's older than me, but he's maybe only a couple of years older than me. But we were the young boys. Obviously, we had like Graham Armstrong, Mickey Lawson, Walter Boyd, Tam Henry, all older guys, and so Nipper and I were the young kids up front.
They were all still kids, weren't they? A lot of them were still in Albion players as well, Darren, weren't they? Like Mickey Lawson and etc.
Yeah, and the strikers were Robbo's brother, Chris Robertson, and Gordon Smith, Pogo. So we learnt, Nipper and I'll say we definitely learnt a lot of those two.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Robbo. I was having a wee chat with a wee man last night as well. It was absolutely magnificent. He's up there in Inverness. You never lose touch with your best pals, Darren. That's all I'm saying to you. Just bear that in mind as the difficult times go on. That's what I'm saying to you, Jacko.
After that
anyway,
question today, the phone's not getting answered for now on.
Exactly. There's people phoning me.
Thank God you left out the £4,000 appearance on top of the wages.
That's brilliant. I could just say here, I've had 4 of Darren's ex-wives on. They've just posted messages on Facebook.
That's
brilliant. I'm only winding you up, honestly. Anyway, apart from anything else, lots to talk about. Hi to Stephen McNamara as well. He's clearly a jambo. He says, no wonder we nearly went under paying Darren Hollywood wages. You've opened a can of worms, Jacko. It's brilliant.
No, you opened the can of worms.
I know. I'm sorry. Anyway, one of the things I was going to mention to you, this is an interesting one. Hugh MacDonald, I'm going to get your thoughts on this because every now and then, I mean, we all in the newspaper industry and television and radio, we all want to try and get little stories and get things out to the fans. And obviously every now and then, I think, some of the stories now are just getting a bit ridiculous. But when Alistair Johnson, who is a nice man, used to be the chairman of Rangers, when he comes out and says that if they declare Celtic the champions, there needs to be an asterisk just at that point for the title. I think Alistair is forgetting history here and rewriting it as we speak.
Yeah. If there was an asterisk to go about to be placed against league titles, some might be sprinkled pretty liberally over an era when players were, what was it, Peter, imperfectly registered. I think I think this is all playing to the gallery. It's very much like the Dave King play, but when we weren't in the league, so Rangers weren't in the league, so how can you 9 in a row? Which is another little cracker as well. I think it's just sometimes people just play to the gallery, and that's what that was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right, Hugh. I mean, it's pandering to a section. It's just it's a nonsense, but it's great pub arguments. It starts so many fights, it's unbelievable. And this other one is interesting because UEFA's Alexander Seferin has just basically said, Roughie, that he doesn't want Celtic or any other club to declare themselves champions in the media. I think basically UEFA want to be kept in the loop about how you're going to decide your league title before you start proclaiming it to journalists who clearly want to try and get the scoop before anybody else.
Yeah, you have to say that would be the best interest of the clubs, obviously to keep on the right side of the main guys who make most of the big decisions in the game. And I think it's the right way to go down. But every time pick up a paper with that guy's name in it. I never know what's coming next because he seems to be toing and froing all over the place. So let's hope that we get some kind of definitive this week. I know that all the clubs are all meeting every day, and it'd be good to hear something positive come out of that.
Yeah, I think the SPFL have delayed their meeting until tomorrow now. So obviously, quite a lot of people will be hoping that they can at least resolve some of the issues. Whether they're going to declare Celtic the champions and relegation issues tomorrow, I'm not so sure on that. I would don't hold your breath on suddenly a big revelation coming out of Hampden tomorrow, Hugh. I don't see it. I think the SFA and the SPFL with their joint response group will literally hold on for as long as they possibly can before making any calls.
I think so too, because the big players in this, they're not keen to end the season, and they're not keen to end the season not just for sporting integrity reasons, but for good business reasons as well. Now, there are business reasons for calling the season. We know that, because then prize money can be paid out. But there's also strong reasons for not calling it quite yet, because what you've got to do, the big thing, Peter, for Scottish football clubs is next year's season ticket books. When can they go out and walk beyond them? So people are needing clarity on that. For example, if you're buying a season ticket for next year and they hold over the league, does your season ticket for this year, it would presume, would still be valid? So would that be another period where there would be no revenue coming in? Where Seferin and UEFA are, quite simply, Peter, and if they were honest about it, is about protecting the money of the big leagues, the big 5 leagues. That's what they're all about. They want the leagues finished there so that the clubs don't lose. I mean, England, you're talking about £1 billion in sponsors and television money. Darren's alluded to it already. Burnley will have a whole of £50 million this summer if the television and sponsorship money doesn't come through. So that's Seferin's priority at the moment, and frankly, every other league is scrambling about trying to make an impression on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin Conley says, "Hi, Peter and the team. Can you send me your best address to send you a wee gift from Australia?" Isn't that a nice gesture? There's lots of nice people on here. What's the current exchange rate? Is it Australian dollars, Darren? I'm not quite sure what he's sending over, but I just want to know how much it is. Is it in a casket, and can we divvy it up between the 4 of us?
Let's give him the address.
Yeah. Once you get your $4,000 cut, by the way, there'll be 50 quid for you, Hugh, 50 for Roughie, and 50 for me. So,
welcome to our lives. I don't know what the exchange rate in Australia is, but if he was playing for Melbourne Hearts, you'd go on $8,000 a week.
Absolutely. He's going to get pelters for this. And Ron Carney says 250 quid a week playing in the English First Division, says Ronnie from sunny Saltcoats. Lots of people just chatting away on here, giving us their thoughts. And I have to say also, thanks to everyone who's joined us on YouTube as well, because the amount of people that are enjoying the show right across both platforms, you'll forgive me, I always like to go down and give quite a lot of people just a special mention as they join us on the programme. So, if you have just joined us, Malky Mackay, the SFA Performance Director, on the way. He's talking about Billy Gilmore. Great chat about some of the other young players coming through, what's happening with the strategy, the ethos, the technique, the skills, the desire of our young players. Malky talking about all that. So if you love your youth football, and if you love to hear about potentially the stars coming through, well worth listening to Malky coming up. As far as the clubs are concerned, obviously St Mirren and Rangers have revealed that there'll be a deferral of wages, some staff on furlough as far as St Mirren are concerned. Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi gives us a quick rundown on the Scottish Premiership.
What has your club done to fight the financial difficulties posed by the coronavirus pandemic? Both Aberdeen and Rangers players, management staff and hierarchy have taken wage deferrals, whilst putting the non-matchday staff on furlough pay, topping up the last 20%. Celtic have done the same with non-playing staff, furlough and top-up, although their players, who are the highest paid in the league, have not had their wages affected yet. Hearts have been the most active club since the break, placing the majority of non-football employees on the scheme and now aiming to do likewise with the players, although owner Anne Budge insists that none will be making more than a 30% cut. Across Edinburgh, Hibs have put players and senior staff on wage deferrals between 20 and 50%, with the majority of other employees on furlough leave. Hamilton Accies and Ross County are both using the retention scheme to pay their first team squads and will cover any shortcomings to make sure they still receive full pay. Kilmarnock, Livingston, Motherwell, St Mirren and St Johnstone are all continuing as normal, but it could all change the longer the football is halted.
Yeah, Gabriel Antonazzi giving us a little insight there into what the clubs are doing at the moment. All clubs across Scotland, interestingly enough, all clubs across Scotland will announce as many cuts as they can short term to make sure that their clubs survive. I wonder, Hugh, do you think we will witness the demise of certain clubs if this goes on all the way through to June?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's been my firmly held belief that for some time. And it might not be the names that people expect, because people expect it more of the clubs in the lower leagues. But one thing about the clubs in the very lower leagues is they're running a shoestring. So they might be able just to weather a bit. But there's other clubs that have ambition and that have invested that'll find it hugely difficult. I think definitely there'll be, at the very least, a downsizing of Scottish football in terms of wages, but also I think there will be clubs that will go.
On the flip side of that, I'm going to get Darren and Roughie's talk on this and their thoughts on it, Hugh. If you think clubs will go, do you think there's a necessity? I've been bleating on about we must, save Hearts, because I don't think a ball will be kicked. And I'm not just talking about saving Hearts. We must look at an expanded Premiership to try and get as much money out to as many people as possible and to make this appealing, even if it's short term. Protect as many clubs as we can, expand the league, bring clubs up and try and revamp it, regloss it, remarket it to try and get money through to them. I think it's expanding the league has got to be the route to go down. Do you share that view, or have you got something else as an alternative?
I share the view, because what happens, there's downsides to Peter, in that if you have a 14 top division, you're diluting what goes to, obviously, you're dividing it by 14 instead of by 12, so there'll be resistance to that. But I think now is a time where people are going to have to suck it up and say, listen, we have to do something, we have to change something. Scottish football is in an almost unique position in that most of their money comes in through the gate. And if you talk to any football supporter in Scotland, they find the top division boring in that the number of times you have to play each club. They find it tense in that it's soonly, it always quickly flips into a very tense relegation struggle for some of the clubs, because they're 12. 14 would give it a more room to breathe, as you see. But it's going to be down to the clubs themselves. I think there's a great move for fans and amongst the press for it. But as business concerns and clubs, that'll be the obstacle.
Yeah, Darren, I say 14 at the moment because I think that's the only thing that's been mentioned. I would have 16 and 18 and work out a split that still gives everybody the chance to play each other, 4 times. You maybe play the first batch of games against everyone and then you start looking at the placings. But I would do something that protects all the clubs, because remember, as soon as everybody starts to say that we're coming out of this and everybody can go outside and everybody can start to think about playing football again, it's not going to go back to where it was in January or December. We are going to be coming out of this, wondering what the hell has happened. People are going to be skint. People are not going to be able to buy lots of things. People are not going to be able to purchase season tickets. Certainly won't be looking at new strips or anything like that. And they'll be actually saying to themselves, can I afford Sky, BT? Can I afford to get in a car and go to a game?
I think you're 100% right, Peter. And I think Hugh's right as well about some clubs will be looking, obviously most clubs will look after themselves, but a lot of clubs will look and say the money is getting diluted. So if you make it whatever you make it an 18, 16, 14, 12, it will be diluted. But I think, and I'm not being biased here, you do have to save Hearts, because we do need our big clubs in the top division to try and get back to it'll take a while, but get back to where we are. And I think you do need to try and think of something that is going to gloss it up to make it attractive for people to come to games, because as you say, and rightly so, people are not going to have the money. People are not going to have the money to buy strips to go and to go to every game Saturday, Wednesday. So we're going to have to do something. But I think we do, and again, repeat myself, I think we do have to save Hearts, because they're a huge club, and it's their own fault, it's the players' fault for the position they're in. But for what's happened, there has to be something done, yes.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Roughie, if some fans out there think that we get to July and then Rangers and Celtic start splashing cash, I mean, I know Charlie Nicholas came out today and said that he reckons Odsonne Edouard's transfer fee would be affected. Odsonne Edouard's, every club in the world will not be paying 200 and 300 million pound release clauses. If they are, they should actually be humiliated in public, because the whole transfer market will change dramatically as well, Roughie.
Yeah, it certainly will. And we know, again, the clubs with the money will be the ones that will be able to splash it. We don't know what scale it will be, but I think Darren and Hugh hit it in the head. I think we all want to see some kind of league reconstruction, but the two guys have hit it. It's it's the money. It's just money. I've seen Gordon Scott from St Mirren saying, look, if you allow another two teams into this league, my budget's cut by £600,000. And every club will be going there looking at what they're going to come out with less every time you add another 2 or 3 or 4, whatever clubs. And then they'll go in and vote accordingly. And that's why these votes never, ever get passed. Because everybody's looking after themselves, looking after, how they survive. And that's the way they'll look. I'm looking this morning, Peter, and I said this to you a month ago, and okay, it's a bit far-fetched. And I don't think the money that gets distributed in Scotland is a fair playing field. I'm looking at the papers this morning. Rangers and Celtic get £6 million for a 2-horse race, and everybody else down in the first division gets something like 50 grand, 60 grand. It's absolutely obscene.
Yeah, well, can I just say something to you, Ruffy? And I hate to remind everybody of history here, Hugh, but I'm well acquainted with absolutely the whole process of what's happened before. You had a downturn before. You had a situation where literally this, voting situation with 11-1, which is preposterous. They had a chance to change it when Rangers went out of the league, but they accepted the scraps off the table and stuck with 11-1. And they had a real chance to change the whole structure of Scottish football. So the clubs that are to blame are the clubs that eventually took money off the table to buy literally the status quo. They had the chance, they blew it then, and they still won't change. I think Ruffy's right.
Aye, because what happens is you'll see a lot of complaints with fans and sometimes with pressmen talking about the SPFL want this and the SPFL want that and the SPFL have decided this. This is not an autonomous body, sitting with Neil Doncaster in a room stroking his white cat, and with his Shark Tank underneath him, This is the SPFL is the clubs. That's who decides it, not Neil. Neil Doncaster is a functionary. He's there as staff. So it's not decisions being sort of visited on clubs. It's decisions that clubs are taking themselves. And I always say, Peter, is that self-interest will come out and talk. And do you know what? See, sometimes I can really understand self-interest as well. I'm not saying it's not comprehensible, but self-interest is a huge motivating factor in all those decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people, Grant Patterson, Ray, William Wiley as well, Stu Mack also on the YouTube Live, Jelly actually, quite an unusual name, and CB the third, also Ali71. Lots of people coming on YouTube. Thank you very much for giving us your thoughts. Gary Knight, as well as Stuzo 666. I hope that's not a reflection of your personality, Stuzo. Martin Conley as well. Great to have you with us. And week 4 in Tenerife, says Brian McLeish. Love the show. My bar is open at 4 o'clock. So Brian is, I think, a good hour ahead of you, Roughie. And he should be, as they say in the west of Scotland, 3 sheets to the wind by now. So just out of curiosity, Roughie, when your bar opens at 5, what's the first thing you have a wee tipple with?
Probably a gin and tonic and a tall glass, lots of ice, very refreshing. And then move on to something a wee bit later.
Yeah, that's I don't know about you. I'm not even going to ask you, Hugh, because I know you don't drink anymore. But I would say to you, I don't know if I'm being too pompous about this and snooty, but my wife loves a glass of red wine. But I look and I think to myself, I mean, come on, get a grip. It's Tuesday, you know. She has a glass of red wine on a Tuesday, which I think is just outrageous. But I've lost it.
Well, I'm the kind of guy who used to have a drink and wake up on a Tuesday in Singapore with a beard. So I'm not going to give advice to anybody on that, Peter.
Hugh, if only you had the guts to write your autobiography, it would be a huge learning curve for everyone else in lots of things. And I mean that in the kindest possible sense of how you could offer so much advice to people. And of course, Darren as well. It'd be great. Have you done an autobiography, Darren?
No. I've been asked, but I don't think I will.
You're scared, aren't you? I can read because I've known you since you were a kid. I can read your mind. The only thing in your mind is you're thinking litigation.
I think it would be not bad autobiography, actually.
Hey, honestly, the amount of knockbacks you've taken in the Edinburgh nightclubs, what a book that would be. I'd buy it myself. Anyway, lots of people, Ron Carney, Dougie Liddell, Brian Docherty, Tony Lunn, lots of people giving us their thoughts on it. It's about time there were 2 divisions, says Tony. No need to have 4 Old Firm games this season when Rangers sell out nearly every home game anyway. Other clubs need to stop being stupid and sitting with half-empty stadiums rather than give the Old Firm more tickets. Well, the strange thing is, if you can't fill your ground, I think St Johnstone and a number of clubs have been really sensible this season. They've explained to their fans, listen, we can't sell it out because you're not buying the tickets, but we're going to give them three areas and we're going to take the money. I thought that was a really sensible approach, Hugh, from St Johnstone at the time.
Absolutely, and Kilmarnock as well. I've dipped her toe in that. I think it's completely sensible. I think no business can be seen to be turning money away at the cash customers at the door. This doesn't happen. And on the earlier point from the view of Celtic and Rangers selling out their games and not needing to play each other 4 times, the reason they're playing each other 4 times in the league is a broadcasting requirement. The broadcasters want at least 4 Celtic and Rangers games a year.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they do that, Hugh, and that's why I think there could be a permutation. And by the way, thanks to everyone who's sent us all their variations on the league and how they see it all working. If I had to go through them all, I'd probably go insane, to be honest with you. But they're I appreciate the fact that you've mentioned various ways the league can split up into people playing each other 4 times and divvying up the money. So thank you for that. A couple other little points before I give you the answer, and then we'll hear from Malky Mackay. I'm really looking forward to that. I always mention the fact that we love the people making comments. Ron Carney says, now, Ron, I really need to appeal to your charitable status here and maybe take a wee step back. And I hate to say this, Roughie. Ron Carney says, just relegate Hearts and let the top 3 in the Championship gain promotion. And it's just because I hate Hearts, says Ron. Now, Roughie, I mean, honestly, I have to say to you, I'm going to leather Ron here. my mother used to say to me, you don't hate anyone. You might dislike them, but you don't hate them, Roughie. I mean, come on, we can't be having that, can we, Ron? Take that back.
No. Yeah, I think Ron's got to have a look at himself there. And, you know, that you're right. I don't like that word hate anyway. You know, I heard a lot of Hearts supporters when they found out Darren was on $4,000, you know, they started hating. But
yeah, I hate you after today.
Oh, that's magnificent. Honestly, I wish I'd asked you, Darren. No, by the way, did you see Hugh when I did ask him how much he was on? This is his face.
I knew that face is. This is the headline coming for Peter face. That was the face of here is the line coming. You know.
Yeah.
I see there's Roughie as well. I just think that Roughie doesn't hate anybody. He just dislikes Kubias.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. If the BBC want to show some classic shows, get the old Peru game out to see who had an absolute stinker in 1978.
We'd Scotland and Holland at the weekend, so I'm hoping they've lost the footage of the other ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scotland, I mean, see the thing now, Roughie, see looking back, see getting slaughtered for getting beat by Peru. It just wouldn't happen nowadays, you know. It's usually where the expectation levels lie, you know. That you know, coming out of a group, for example, everybody talks about '78 being a disaster, but Scotland came out of the group with a victory, and a draw, and a defeat, and the victory was against the team that finished runners-up.
Absolutely. And listen, let's not mention the other things that happened on that 78 tour as well. You know, it was just an overall nightmare for Roughie and Willie Johnson and others. Roughie, the Swally bucket, says Jazz Sweeney. Christopher, Michael Nealon joins us. Michael was a very good guitar player and a brilliant band, so I'm delighted that Michael has joined us. Paul Kerr, thank you. John Collins as well. Dougie Liddell, who always joins us on the programme. I absolutely love the fact that some people come back regularly to us. If you do get a chance, like, share, follow, and of course, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, tell your mates about it, join in. We're going to try over the next couple of weeks with the quiz to actually throw out some prizes as well to try and maybe brighten up your day that you win a prize as well. But the quiz questions, the answer to today's quiz question was John Hartson. I don't know if you were able to get that. John Hartson. Just before we get to Malky Mackay, you can listen to this interview in full. Malky's quite a short interview, Darren, after I come out of it. Thomas Muller. This is a wee bit I didn't realise, Hugh. Thomas Muller, who's only 30, has signed an extension at Bayern Munich to 2023. 30, and listen to this, Hugh. He's won 8 Bundesligas, 5 German Cups, a Champions League, a Super Cup, and a FIFA World Club Cup. I mean, some career, by the way. I thought he was about 38.
I actually thought he was a wee bit less than 30 because he came into the Bayern team very early, and he's always looked at older, Peter. You know, he's always looked at. He's a remarkable player. I mean, I've watched him in the flesh in many occasions, and he's one of these guys that looks almost awkward and gangly and not up to much. But then he makes interventions like laying on a goal or scoring a goal, and his stats are superb. And that trophy cabinet, you know, that one, you know, if you've got a spare weekend, I'll show you my medals. Was never more fitting. What a career.
Yeah, absolutely. Roughie, you're going to ask something?
No, I'm just saying, rumour has it he's only taking a $4,000 increase.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the new deal.
Exactly. Quite a lot of people saying, always good to hear Roughie coughing and snorting through everybody else's answers. So a big thank you. Thank you for that. And of course, Jeff Cairns joins us. Jeff, how are you? Great to have you on the show, watching it as well. Billy Kaplinski. Billy and Margot still following from the lockdown in South Carolina. Darren, we have people from Australia. We have people from America. We have people in Vietnam watching this program. I mean, it's magic, isn't it?
It's fantastic. They're on to listen to Roughie every day, and Barry. And they're on to get exclusive, Peter, as well.
Well, I'll tell you, the how I rip the arse out of Hearts at $4,000 a week is certainly the one that's going to lead this show.
I know that because I've had a few text messages saying I'm getting hammered.
Yes, I was going to say to you, there's some people saying you still owe me a tenner. I'll be around later, mid-June. Anyway, apart from anything else, listen, it's been an absolute joy nattering away. Hugh, I'm so delighted you've finally grasped what the technology's all about. I was gutted you weren't on last week.
I mean, Peter, I wish I could tell you that it was some magic formula I came up with and it's worked, but it's just worked with nothing to do with me. So let's hope it keeps working.
Now, here's a question I've got for you guys, and this is probably one just before we listen to Malky Mackay. Here's one question I want to know. One of my mates said to me, he said, see when the government eventually tells everybody in June or July it's safe to go out, he says the whole country could be blitzed because they could all go out into the biggest party in the nightclubs and the pubs. What's the first thing you'll do, Roughie, when you get out eventually?
Well, it's not going to be drink because I'm doing that every day anyway, so I'd have to come up with something else. I honestly don't know. I'd probably just meet up with a few of the guys and obviously go out and have another drink.
Yeah, yeah. Hugh, the one thing I miss is every now and then, just when I feel as if I'm getting happy, I always like to phone you and Hugh Keevins and go out for a wee meal just to listen to Keevins moan for an hour and a half.
Absolutely. I mean, that'll be one. My thing's pretty straightforward. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to nick up. My partner's Alison's been self-isolating, so I'll pick her up and I'll drive through and see my grandmates who I miss absolutely viscerally. I'll miss them. I'll go through. And the second thing is I'll go to Darren's house and help be part of the protection squad against the Foundation of Hearts. I think that's only...
It's only fair, Hugh, that you protect him. Darren, what will you do when what's the first thing you're going to do, apart from obviously try and move and shift the 1.4 million that you have under your bed?
Well, obviously I can't, my little girl's up at her mum's, I can't see my daughter just now, so I'm looking forward to seeing her, looking forward to seeing my partner, Karen, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of my family.
Magic, by the way. Do you see how we've put a kind of a more sensitive finish to the programme with you, Darren, there? That's absolutely magnificent. I think that's a great line from you. I think everybody will be looking at so many of their grandkids and everything that they're posting. Certainly all the people that we've got on here who are looking and saying to us, absolutely magnificent, enjoying the show. And I think, as Darren mentioned there, everybody wants to get to their larger family. Just make sure they're okay. Hopefully you're following government instructions. I just wonder, just as a wee footnote, Roughie, Aberdeen players posting on Instagram that they were out training in a park. I think the police have advised them of what they need to do, but surely a PR guy says to them, listen, don't be posting photographs when you're all out training in a park somewhere.
No, it seemed a bit foolish, in light of, what's been going on round about. And I know, it's just some people do things and then they realise they shouldn't be doing it. And unfortunately, it's out there. And can I just tell you what I did today?
Yeah, it'd be great to hear it, Roughie. Everybody now is actually on the edge of their seats thinking, wow, look at Hugh, he's moving forward.
No. I was going to tell anyway, Alison's doing fine. That's not the reason I was going to tell you. That's not what I did today. That's not what I did today. Do you know what I did today? I phoned 30 Partick Thistle supporters just to see how they were doing. And it was absolutely fantastic just to have a chat with every one of them. It was really heartwarming and made my day.
30 Partick Thistle supporters. 4 of them must have been lying.
There was one Hugh that was going to report me to the police because he thought I was winding him up.
So that's this week's competition. If you'd like Roughie to phone you, then put a message to us on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see if we can organise it as well. That's brilliant, Roughie. That is great, because I will mention this that a lot of people don't know, and I think it's a great thing that you do. You do actually go out to Partick Thistle fans who all get together who maybe all have dementia, and you try and just jog a few of their memories with pictures of games of old and maybe matches that they might remember.
Yeah, it's amazing, Peter, that all the clubs in the SPL do it. You know, it's not just Partick Thistle. I've been over to St Mirren, I've been over to Hampden, and they're all doing their bit. It's a fantastic organisation to be part of. Again, it's very heartwarming to see the people in there and just putting a wee smile on their face.
Absolutely brilliant, Roughie. Listen, thanks to Darren, thanks to Hugh, thanks to Roughie. Earlier today, I caught up with Malky Mackay. Well worth a listen. If you love your youth football, if you love Scotland, and you're wondering, have we got the Stars of Tomorrow? Here's what Malky had to say. Well, I'm delighted to say we're joined by the Performance Director at the SFA, Malky Mackay. Malky, first of all, I'm happy that you've got something entertaining behind you, like a wardrobe. That's created a little bit of mystery for this programme. But are you safe and well with your family?
I am. They've got me locked. That's where I sleep, Peter. I sleep in the wardrobe, so they've got me locked in this. It's no. I think it's voluntary self-isolation they've asked for with me, even though I've not got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're absolutely delighted you could join us on the programme. I mean, everybody's in lockdown. It's unusual circumstances. I don't think we've ever witnessed anything like this before. What impact has that had on your department?
Well, obviously, it's fairly well known at the moment in terms of the furlough process that the SFA have been going through. So there's an awful lot of staff that have been put on furlough at the moment, just like an awful lot of other businesses in the UK. So there is that aspect in terms of the people that are in my department. We're about 30 in the performance department, and at the moment. There's at least thirds of them have been furloughed at the moment, and there is an impact, but it's that impact. It's the same for the rest of Scottish football, and it's the same for the rest of, I suppose, the country at the moment in terms of no one quite knowing what's actually going to happen. As far as the work is concerned, we've actually split the work between the ones that are actually still working from home, so to speak, and there is various calls like this going on most days between the staff. There is an aspect of it where we've got to keep the whole thing going, because when you think about it, when it starts up again, Peter, the leagues and stuff like that, and the football, then it's going to be all hands to the pumps. So we've got to make sure that we've got that kind of skeleton staff still making sure that everything actually proceeds as normal.
I know it's only guesswork. 12 weeks, we could all be cooped up in the house for that time, and companies and businesses and the SFA equally so, obviously, don't have that financial backing. Do you get to the situation where you come out of it and you have to, in a way, streamline it, or are you hoping that you can get back to normality very, very quickly, get people out, putting into practice the plans that you've been, putting out there since you started the job?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly hoping that when we come back out of this, that there's a kind of everyone pulling together type thing. I think you've seen a lot of that in society so far. I think the pull behind the NHS and the pull behind the emergency services and the key workers, and the fact that the amount of volunteers that there are in the country, I think we've kind of seen a little bit of that in terms of football in the UK at the moment, in terms of everyone trying to work together to make sure that all clubs come out of this, and gradually try and get back to normal again. That's going to take time, and I know that there's a financial impact on everything as far as that's concerned. But really, can we manage to get games going again, as and when the appropriate time is that for that to happen, and get people watching football again? Because as I said, it's something that everyone in the country loves, and obviously, again, I'll caveat that with the the bigger story of actually people surviving, this whole terrible tragedy at the moment. But in football, people pulling together and actually making sure that we're something that comes positively out of it. As far as our the Scottish FA is concerned, we've got a kind of national youth strategy that we're putting together to put out later this year, and there's an awful lot of work going on behind the scenes as far as that's concerned. As far as the young players are concerned, I think it's an interesting topic when it wants to be debated in terms of how clubs' plans for them change in terms of what they were supposed to be doing. Maybe some of the young players were supposed to be going out on loan, or some of the players were supposed to be going into run about first team squads, and the delay and how that's actually going to affect them. So I think there's an awful lot to talk about concerning young players in Scotland.
What about the positive impact that you've seen since you've taken charge of this? Have you changed your mindset? Have you changed the ethos of the way we train our young kids, how they prepare? I noticed that, a couple of months back you were talking about Brazil has the same problems as Scotland, trying to get people to work on their skills, trying to get people coming through with desire as well. Have you changed your mindset, or have you changed the SFA's mindset since you come in?
No, Peter, I'm really heartened by the fact that our young kids of the last 8 to 10 years have really pushed everything towards touch and skill and technique. You think about it, lots and lots of teams over the last 10 years now, youth players train on AstroTurf pitches and they train on better surfaces. And the emphasis went on to technique with a lot of young coaches. We're certainly trying to help that with our Pride Labs and shaping what the young coaches, and how they think and go about their jobs in the country. But as far as our young players are concerned, I can see it. Our players are becoming technically better. As far as our youth teams are concerned, our national youth teams that make up all our club players, and we borrow them, the 16s, 17s, 19s, 18s, 19s and 21s are technically way better than they were. And it stands to reason because there's an awful lot more emphasis put on technique. As far as the national teams are concerned, in terms of our yearly warm-up games for the Euros, over the last 2 years we've taken our friendly games out to Spain and played at a little place called Pinatar in Spain, which is where the Spanish national youth teams play. And with that, what do we get with that? We get reasonable weather because it's February and October, so the weather's not bad. The facilities and the pitches are very good, but the standard of opposition is excellent. And what we're getting is we've ended up playing France, Spain, Germany, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay, Japan, all at different age levels with different boys and girls teams. And we're testing ourselves against what you would perceive as some of the best in the world at that level. And technically, we are holding our own as far as our players are concerned. And that's a big up for our clubs and our club coaches and the way that they're developing our young players. So we are actually beginning to actually manage to come up against these teams and have reasonable amount of possession of the ball, which is one of the big things going forward. We've got to try and make sure our national teams have got a good possession of the ball. Just touching on what you said there about Brazil, I think it's interesting. I went out there, I was asked to go out there and present on the Brazilian Pro licence, and talking to the coaches that were on it, which were the top coaches in the country were on it, the national manager was on the course, that they're finding similar problems, that young people nowadays, their first thought is not to go out on it, the pitches and play with a football. They've got other distractions as well, and the PlayStations and a variety of different aspects of people's lives is different, even out there where we perceive them to be the greatest football nation in the world. So it was surprising as well. They've got their challenges.
Yeah, and picking up on that, I mean, BBC are showing some old classic matches and everybody's watching them and enjoying them. I was salivating over the performance of Barry Ferguson, who for me is easily the best and most talented midfielder Scotland has had in the last 20 or so years. He was comfortable with the ball at his feet. He was great picking passes, going forward, driving forward as a midfielder. Now, as we see a younger batch coming through, I don't know about you, but I think the entire nation is kicking every ball for Billy Gilmore. We're hoping a Liam Smith or a Liam Morrison suddenly emerges. Your big hopes for the future?
We have got some real good youngsters coming through. Interestingly, you talk about Barry. I was fortunate enough to play with Barry at the international team, and every word you said there in terms of how comfortable he was in the ball. Before him, Paul McStay was the one. The era before him of the exact same thing. And for Scotland to have comfortable midfielders is something we're striving for more and more. And Billy is the one who, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been looking at coming through, and I'm just really impatient in terms of actually waiting to get him all the way through, because I've watched him since he was 16. We put him into the Toulon tournament, the under-20 tournament, when he was only 16, and fast-tracked him to that, and saw his impact in that. He ended up that Toulon tournament, the top 100 players that have played in that tournament is a who's who of the last 30 years of football, and for him to end up becoming breakthrough player of the tournament, and that year he played in it was something we can all be very proud of. And I think recently, as you just said there, when we're actually looking at the last few games that he's played for Chelsea and the rave reviews that the English commentators have been giving him, I mean, you can imagine the Scottish commentators are actually having a little bit of bias towards him, but the English commentators have been salivating themselves, and I think it's a matter of time. I see him in the same vein as you've just said there. Barry Ferguson's as good a midfielder as we've had in years and years, and Billy is certainly someone that I think could have a massive future in front of him with the Scottish national team. And I don't think it comes down to age with Billy. I think you look at Christian Eriksen going into the Danish national team at 18 years old. I look at Billy and I think he's got a bit of everything, and it's just been a matter of time with him playing against adults.
Do you think he could be thrown in there and handle the pressure if it was a playoff that came, let's just say, 4 or 5 months from now?
I think that's probably something that's maybe only time will tell. It's probably the one area of our team where we've got an abundance of talent, and real good talent at the moment, I have to say, in the Scottish national team. And to go in and be thrown right into a playoff semi-final on such a big occasion is probably not fair on Billy. And but again, that'll be down to Steve to decide whether that's something he would like to do. But certainly, as far as we're concerned, we've fast tracked him as fast as we can, and he started playing against adults. And only time will tell whether that's going to be the case or not. But what I would say, as I said, we've got. I think we've got a strength and depth in the midfield area in terms of Scotland at the moment, and for years to come as well. I think there's a group in there who are only going to get better. Interestingly, you just touched on the old World Cup games at the weekend. I phoned Scott Gemmell to tell him on Saturday afternoon in half an hour's time, get your two boys on the couch and phone your dad, because in half an hour's time Scotland are playing Holland in the '78 World Cup, which he then went and did, and we watched it, and it was fantastic to watch, Peter.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Just a pity the goalkeeper allowed himself to be beaten from 35 yards by Johnny Rep. I mean, who was that goalkeeper? Whatever happened to him, by the way? How can you get beaten from 35 yards, Malky?
I just wonder why I left his gloves in the dressing room. If you can ask him next time. No idea why I left the gloves in the dressing room.
Yeah, absolutely. I give him pelters about it all the time. He actually says to me that it deflected off Archie Gemmell, and that's why I went over him, but I'm not buying into it. Listen, a couple of quick points before you go, and I don't want to keep you too long. Billy Gilmour's won. Give us a sense of optimism. Do you feel as if we've got some rich talent coming through that could be a right back, a left back, a centre half, a striker?
Well, you mentioned the boy yourself, the boy Liam Morrison, who's gone from Celtic and who's been very well looked after at Celtic and has now stepped across to Bayern Munich of all clubs, a young centre-back coming through. Rangers have got one coming through as well. Leon King, a young centre-back coming through who's been terrific. Young Nathan Patterson has made the Rangers bench. Kai Kennedy has made the Rangers bench. There's another young midfielder, Kieran Dixon, come through from the Rangers midfield as well. And I look at our clubs at the moment, our top clubs at the moment: Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, Motherwell, Hamilton, Kilmarnock. The clubs are actually producing good young Scottish players at the moment. And it's just that step up to the next level once they start playing against men. Our 19s against, Billy Stark took our 19s and played against Germany in March down at Partick Thistle's ground, and we beat them 1-0. that was a qualifier to get through to the elite Euros, and our under 19s are in a reasonably good shape at the moment. But I just think overall, I think the youngsters coming through are technically better than we've been in years. It's just about making sure that there is that pathway at football clubs to allow them to go and play against men as quickly as they can. It's all very well hanging about benches, and I do understand why that is the case. The best youngsters make the bench, but if they make the bench for too long, Peter, and another player goes out and plays in the Championship, for example, for a year, they jump ahead. It's quite clear nowadays that you can actually see the young players that have been given the chance to go and play against men and the improvements that happen really quickly. That's what I would suggest. We've got to keep working together ourselves and our clubs, keep collaborating on what we all think is their potential best young players and the path that sees them to be playing against men quickly to then it's up to themselves after that.
Yeah, and another thing, I wouldn't take your job for all the tea in China, to be honest with you, Malky, because I'd hate that point where you have to go in and sit down in front of the chief executive, Ian Maxwell, and he says, okay, justify your success. I mean, do you look at it and you think to yourself, am I going to be judged a success if Steve Clarke gets us to a major tournament or if Billy Gilmore and 5 others make it through? So it's a no-win situation.
I don't know why. I'm waiting for the post to come up when the goalkeeper retires next to you, actually, so I can take that job. No, I said I'm very, very proud that every time I go away with our 16s, 17s, 19s, 21s, our women's 17s, 19s, women's full squad, of which comes under me, when I stand there and listen to the national anthem and watch our squads go and play football against European nations, and you know, it's something to be proud of. And when I see youngsters coming through all the way through, and when I watched Billy against Man United, and you know, when the games he's played recently, you know, my heart swells when I see that, and I see a player that I know that is going to become a top player for Scotland. But what I also see is I see our clubs improving in terms of their desperation for their youngsters to do well, and an awful lot of coaches in Scotland who want to come together and work hard together now for the betterment of Scottish football. That's a great thing as well. I think in terms of the bigger picture, our national team, we need to try and give our national team as many young players as we can, so that eventually Steve doesn't have to dip into the 19 and 20-year-olds, because there's enough of a pool of players that are 24, 25, 26 coming into their prime that are able to actually qualify our team for European and world competitions. I think that's eventually where we've got to get to with this. But I think if we get more of our clubs working in a certain way with us, that means that young players, more and more young players come through, then we've got a broader pool to actually pick from. And I think at that point, then we crack it and we're going to be better. But it's like the Forth Road Bridge, painting the Forth Road Bridge. I'm not sure it's ever going to end, Peter.
Yeah, final point then. I'm a big fan of Steve Clarke as a person and as a manager. I don't envy him the fact that, you know, he's got 2 great left backs. We still hope we can get a central defensive partnership. We still hope we can maybe get a right back and strikers. Do you get the sense from him that we could do this? We could make it. We can, you know, get past Israel, Norway, Serbia, whoever it is, and qualify this time around?
Well, I think number one, he's a terrific guy. I've known him for a number of years down with both being down in England, but he's a very experienced manager. He's shown at Kilmarnock his capabilities there, and he's come into the national team. And as I say, I think having everyone match fit, makes a difference. We have a small pool of Scottish players, and as you said, there's been a couple of positions where we've not been as full strength than other positions. And I think we talk about, like everything, we talk about centre forwards, that there has been a dearth of centre forwards in the Scottish game for the last 10 years or so. And I think, you know, when we moved away from 4-4-2 to 4-3-3, when generally we moved away from that, at half the gene pool at centre forward, and we've got to keep trying to encourage young players to go and become centre forwards, because they're the guys that score the goals and they're the guys that are actually ultimately going to get us there. But generally with the squad, I think you've got players that want to play for Steve Clarke, and I think that going forward, we've got a home tie in this semi-final against Israel, and we've got to see when it's going to be played, obviously. But after that, then we go in after that into a one-off final to go and get that place at the Euros, which we're all desperately looking for.
Fingers crossed on that. Malky, I know you're desperately hoping that you can now go back to Narnia and go into the cupboard and see what's in there. Thank you very much for joining us. All the best, son.
Great to see you, Peter. Cheers.
Yeah, top man. That was good, Roughie, listening to him, getting a little insight into the young players.
Yeah, I've said it all along, Peter, unless you go abroad and you qualify for finals like the under-19s and the under-21s, that's when you really know what you're up against. And when you come back for playing against the Germans and the Spain and Italy and everything, and then the players know the level that they've got to get to be up there, and it only benefits our national team.
Yeah, absolutely. Roughie, I'm going to give a mention just before we go to so many people. Gary Rockin Preacher, Ray Finkel, Tom Wilson's in Vancouver watching the show, James Alexander, William Wiley as well, David Sharp, lots of people on YouTube. And of course, there's no point in not missing out on Christopher Holmes, Andy Wilson, Tony Mackay, of course, John McGowan watching us, Jeff Cairns, George Mullen, Lee Irving. There's so many, Paul McGregor. There's so many people, Roughie, that we want to say hi to that are following us, here in Scotland and from afar as well, joining the football show and enjoying the banter as well.
Yeah, if we can fill the void, if it's an hour and 15 minutes, I'm sure we're talking football. These people are all football people, and that's the good thing about it. We're putting a smile on their face.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what you'll take away from this show today, Roughie. I'm just going to go away and mull over what he was doing with $4,000 a week, by the way, because when I was hanging about with him in Edinburgh, Roughie, I was buying a hell of a lot of rounds in the nightclub we were in. I'm worried about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know the kind of gear he was going to bet, and it was probably better than everybody else's at that kind of money he's on.
No, I can tell you, his gear was a mile out in Edinburgh, believe me. Him and Robbo used to wear Versace shoes, Roughie. I don't know if you've ever seen Versace shoes, big giant sparkly things. It was wild. The two of them were a mile out. Anyway, listen, I've taken you beyond where you usually go, Roughie. I mean, it's very rare that you and I spend an hour and 15 minutes in each other's company, unless it's Christmas party, Easter party,
yes.
End of season party, or we're having a fight on a tennis court. I don't know about you, Roughie, I miss the tennis, do you?
Well, I put the 3-hole golf course up on Sunday. It looks as if the tennis court will have to go up this weekend, but I don't know if the garden's big enough for that. But you're right. If the sun's shining, if you get a chance to go out in it, then that's just a wee break.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, everybody stay safe. We're going to go now because we've been talking about Darren's wages, and hopefully he doesn't come back on in time for us to actually work out what's been happening. We're just talking about your gear when you used to hang about in Edinburgh playing for Hibs and Hearts. Your gear was an absolute mile out.
I don't even go there about gear. By the way, aye.
Some of the worst ever. Anyway, listen, on that note, Daz, I love the fact that you've come back for the last 35 seconds of the programme.
I thought you said that was us. I wasn't very sure. I was texting. To say, are we off air?
We are now. From Darren, Roughie, Hugh and myself. Stay safe, stay indoors, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.